Welcome to Live at KEXP. I am here with Lea Porcelain. They are over in Berlin. I'm here in Seattle. Hello, fellas.
Hey.
Let's start off and see a few songs that were recorded right there where you are at Funkhaus in Berlin.
When I raise it, you appear. I find my end here, and you won. What lovers' nights have justified, burned all the way to survive. You appeared heavy under the sun. When I raise it, you appear. I found my end here, and you won. We're lying heavy under the sun. I'm sorry for 100 years. I'm sorry for 100 years. This has made me who I am. This has made me who I am. Follow me through, tearing all my ties. Remind me of better times. Already fallen off my virgin years. A picture of you and a lot of tears. You appeared heavy under the sun. When I raise it, you appear. I found my end here, and you won. We're lying heavy under the sun. I'm sorry for 100 years. I'm sorry for 100 years. This has made me who I am. This has made me who I am. I am. Here I was, here I was, here I was, here I was. To the seas, to the seas, to the seas of love. Here I am, here I am, here I am, here I am. It's taking all, taking all, taking all it can. wait on death row. Now it seems for you, so soon. Now it seems for you. Oh, now it seems for you. Do I care about chapel? I will remember you as once. Are mine or anybody's birds? Memories to the bones of us. And this destruction and that romance. Wanna be the child I am, not wait on death row. Now it seems for you, so now it seems for you. Your rest of day showed once again. Your hands grip mine and once again. Time is ripe and love confessed. Lingered on, remained alive. And this destruction and that romance. Wanna be the child I am, not wait on death row. Now it seems for you, so soon. Now it seems for you. 'Cause now it seems for you. Do I care
So you're in Berlin.
Yes.
Now together in Berlin.
You're both in Berlin. Where in Berlin? What's? I see you have a heater behind you, but where are you? Where are you? Just give us your space where we're talking to you from.
We're talking from the office from Funkhaus, like the central office. It's just by the riverside, and yeah, you need definitely good heating here. In the winter, it gets like -10.
So you're in Berlin, you're at Funkhaus. Can you tell everybody who's not familiar what Funkhaus is all about? I know a little bit about it. It sounds amazing. If you could let us know what it is and your involvement in that place.
I mean, yeah, we've been pretty much here the last 5 years, and it's one of the most amazing recording studios, I would say, in Europe. And it's a very nice and quiet space, a bit outside of the center Chaos Berlin. And it's got to become just like a little artist village, I would say. You have some restaurants, you have some very nice artists that you can be inspired by. And it's a very nice atmosphere. And we have our studio here. We also play live in the Saal 1, which is the biggest room. Has a capacity from like 800 to 1,000 people. And very nice.
And you've been clearly there during the pandemic. Has that helped you deal with the pandemic, being in a space with other artists and being able to create?
I think so too. The pandemic was, I think, hitting us really hard as every other artist. We were no longer in touring mode, and we had an album planned for last year already. And all this broke away, and there's no way to be sad about this. But I think we just got more and more involved into studio, into artistic community, into building a community also in Funkhaus. And I don't know, I think we took it very seriously to live the studio life even more, because Berlin in itself is very, civilization is very abstract lately. You don't know what people are doing, and everything is a bit topsy-turvy. And the Funkhaus is always a place where we come and everything is back to normal. Almost like Corona doesn't exist, in a way. So we got involved a lot more in here, working with them. We built an artistic community, the loft, the penthouse, the clubhouse on the 8th floor. It's beautiful. Just get involved.
Is Berlin or is Germany, is it supportive of the arts? Is there money? Is there support? Is it, I'm in a country where there's really none of that. So is there support from the government there?
Yeah, there is. Definitely, like we got like some, very nice funds and help for the album twice, and it's like pretty hard to get it, but if you are in the right position and you present yourself the right way,
I think there's just also a lot of Berlin has space. If you say New York, London, LA, there's a problem with space there. And Berlin has a lot of space. Like if you go to any other big city, it's really hard. You have to pay a lot or go really far out of the city. For example, in LA. And Berlin has this space very naturally from not having such a big artistic community. You know what I mean? It's there's a little bit more air, and there's more stuff to realize. Like London is full of artists, so is New York, so is LA, and Berlin has a little bit more freedom to explore, I think, if that makes any sense.
It does, and I'm sure with some support, it gives you confidence to be able to be an artist as well, that you could actually have a career as an artist. I know both of you are very much doing all kinds of stuff in music and in art, and when this pandemic is over enough that you can play shows and get your music out. Like, what is your vision? Do you think it's a realistic vision that you have in your heads of what's coming up next? Like in mine, one of my fellow DJs said, as soon as I can go out, I'm going to wear a suit like like a peacock. Like I'm going to just be like wearing rainbow colors and dressing up and getting out of my sweatpants. And it'd be like colorful every day. Like for you guys, what is your vision of coming out of this that would really like make you feel you're living your life to its fullest?
I mean, for me, it's like there are two scenarios. either it's like going crazy as it never been when it's all over and people are like very happy to come back, going to concerts, like having the nightlife again, having all the cultural life again. Or either this pandemic changed something forever and it's like it did a change. And I'm not quite sure what I would like to see, because it did some good points also. But I think, as a musician, we just want to go back on stage and stay in front of people, and hopefully without masks. But it's going to be difficult. But I guess next year we know more. But
Speaking of playing and playing your songs, let's talk about your new album, Choirs to Heaven. And was it, where was it in the timeline with what y'all been dealing with the pandemic? Like for you guys, did you finish it up during the pandemic? When was it written? Let us know.
Yeah, it was written over the last 4 years. I mean, we basically started to write it after the first album came out. And then, we just finished it last year over the pandemic. And we really had time to sit down and to finish really all the mix downs and the 20th version of every song, more or less. It was a good time for us also, like, to calm down and not being crazy on tour. And so it was a good time to finish stuff, sit down, plan a nice release plan.
Yeah. I think the pandemic was asking the right questions. For example, if we would have come back from this writing period, write another album, do another tour, get up in the morning trying to make it, and the pandemic stopped all of that. So we were really forced to want it. We were really forced to get up in the morning and create a routine that was different. And that was really hard. Like for me, I think for all of us, we had to, after 3-4 months of the pandemic, we were like, wow, we're in a deep hole. We had to really restructure our entire band, the entire way of working in Funkhaus, in the studio, of trying to make it and bring this album out. And I think the pandemic asked us a question, like, do you really want it? Do you really want to tour again? Do you really want to make this album? Do you want to put it out? And we were like, yeah. And every day you wake up and you have to say, yes, I want to bring this album out. In my head already on the next one, solo album. All these ideas. And I think the pandemic just asks everyone, do you really want to do that? Because everyone kind of has to stop doing what they're doing and be at home and listen to themselves in a way, which is sometimes really good. Like, reading a book or just working on yourself. And even friends of ours, DJs, a really good friend of mine became an Amazon driver. He was so depressed, and I don't want to say any names, but he now can do this job. And he's like, even now that the UK opens up again, I want to have this job because it clears my head. Because music sometimes is so difficult. You never know, is it good, is it bad? And then it's a simple job, little construction work, it clears your head. So I think everyone gets something out of this pandemic. And we, for sure, we got a lot of creativity afterwards once we had a routine, daily thing, and we woke up and we're like, yes, we want to make music. That's it.
You've made this record. It's a beautiful record, and you're going to have it on vinyl, of course. And there's the coffee table book to go along with it. It has album lyrics and essays and stories and photos. And last we chatted, I got to see some of your book, and can't wait to get a copy of it. Tell me a little bit about your release plan with that, the coffee table book, the vinyl, just how can people get it, and what was the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, so, I mean, first of all, I have to say we're pretty self-managing, we do it all by our team, by us. We have like a little team of very close friends who help us. And we just wanted to create like a whole world behind this record. And starting with the videos, with the whole graphic concept. Then we just had, these ideas popping up, which could be nice, because Marcus had always this little like textbook from the last album, handmade by himself.
On tour.
On
Tour
tour.
bus.
And he did it by himself. And we kind of sold like, I don't know, maybe 30, 40. And it was like the inspiration to do like a real coffee table book, which you could, in these moments of having a glass of wine and listen to the vinyl, hopefully, we could take this book and like just, look into it, read some stories about the songs, like how we wrote them, what's the story behind, where did they being created, and some nice behind the scene photos, and of course the lyrics. And I think it's a beautiful piece of merge, if you can name it like this.
Well, go ahead.
I actually want to, you go ahead, but I actually think I want to read something, because I think to all the musicians out there, we want to spread a message. We have all these lyrics in here. We can just afterwards, but there's a section in there, and I wrote it. I read it on Patreon, and it was very inspiring. It's a section called "Life on Tour," which is obviously not happening anymore. I can read a very short version. It's like I had to put it into the book because I was doing it in October, and I was like, "Fuck." Everyone needs to know what it means to be a musician. To go on tour is half the pay, you know. It's,
right.
It's the most important thing to be there, have the immediate reaction of people. For example, this is in Funkhaus Saal 1.
Hey, it's people.
It's a different world.
It is a different world. It's almost not real.
When was this, and how did we get here?
Yeah, was that a thing we did?
It's crazy.
You know, the other thing too, when I think of just being kind of a baby at shows, I think about me like bitching and moaning about the line. It's hot. Someone's phone's in my way. You know, the sound's not quite. Fuck, man, I would stand in the back with my pants on fire and like severely dehydrated. I would watch a show beginning to end on a Tuesday at this point.
Back in the day, we were like, oh no, they're playing that song. And now we're like,
I'm out of here. I'm going back to the bar. Forget it.
Play the flute. Play anything. Okay, before we go on to another chapter, I would like to read this to all the musicians out there who are struggling at the moment, because everyone, I think, is struggling. I'm going to make a short version of it. And this is from the book, Choirs to Heaven, and it's the essay Life on Tour. Being on tour is one of the dirtiest, most strenuous and time-consuming endeavors one can do in life. It demands everything from you. At some point, you just want to be alone and feel yourself and breathe in peace. Moments of applause are followed by moments of tightness in the tour bus. The heavy lifting of equipment in and out the venue, loneliness and longing for home. Long journeys from city to city wreck the body. Poor nutrition, too much alcohol, little sleep, followed by too loud music, and the cities really only differ on the sides of the stage and of the sound system of the respective venue, yet we wouldn't trade it for anything else in life. It's probably the best and most instructive lesson that life can teach us. Nothing comes closer to absolute freedom than the state of floating and detachment. There are so many things and stories that we can tell here, what it feels like not to feel solid ground under your feet for weeks. Instead of talking about it, we would rather explain it to you through pictures. On tour, we always have friends with us who support us or DJ afterwards. Furthermore, we always have good friends with us who are really good with pictures. And that we want to honor today, above all, Peter Kaden, Felix Gerhardt, Max Hartmann, and Martin Wikarski, who made this book about the album Choirs to Heaven possible. Without your imagery, we would just be a noise and a loud tumult of applause and screams of the universe. Thanks a lot for this. We also want to go and thank our incredible band who want to go everything through us. Jan and Flo have known each other from childhood, and we couldn't imagine a better duo that would tour the world stages with us. We love you guys, all my heart, for many more years to come. Hundreds of thousands of kilometers from city to city, stage to stage. That's why we make music, and of course our fans, for whom we are grateful for. Thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed this book, as well as the following footage. Thank you, John.
That segues right into a song.
I could not wait and wonder
I think reading that passage and talking about, I think it's important that people know the artist's life a little bit more. I think, especially over here, where there's very little support. You know, it's very difficult to make a living as a musician, and I think during this pandemic, having it taken away from you as a fan, having music, going to music, having artists really be honest about what their life is like, especially when the one outlet and the one source of income really they had is gone. I hope it changes us and how we support the arts. It's seen things like, how Bandcamp supported artists through this was so inspiring. And I was going to say, with the coffee table book and the vinyl too, it's been inspiring to see how many people are finding records again and finding, my son opened up, he bought himself a White Stripes record. He opened it up and he says to me, all the words are in here. This is cool. It's like, yeah, man. I said, you just, and then I see him, when you was talking about listening to a record, I walked by his room and he was listening to Paul Simon's Graceland, that he's suddenly a fan of, and like looking through the liner notes and the pictures. And I thought, God, for a kid who's grown up on social media and his phone, this is a good sign. So I'm hoping we have learned something if we haven't.
I think we have learned more appreciation also for music that we don't know. Like I've been given records and played vinyl and bands I have never heard of. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know much. You get more inspired to.
Yeah, I'm much more. I'm open to everything right now, music-wise. Like,
exactly. It's like, because there's no concerts, you have to consume more. Right. Fill the holes.
Hey, I want to talk about one of the songs we're seeing is "I Am Okay," which has been a very powerful part of my show. It's become a theme throughout, especially during this tough last, I want to say year, but it's been longer. It speaks to people's mental health and being reminded that they're okay, that they're not alone, something we say on the show all the time. And as you know, when I first played it, I said, someone out there needs to hear this, and this may save a life. And we heard from a listener who had serious concerns about his own life and was having a real tough mental health time. And he said, the song turned me around and I want to live. And he is still alive. And I made sure you all saw that and know that. To me, if you've made a song and saved a life, I think you can move forward knowing you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us it was like hard melting. Like I couldn't believe when I read the email. I was just like having one goosebump shock after the other, and it was just like very touching. Yeah. And I really hope that the person is still good, and
shout out.
And every time he is bad, he should just listen to music or listen particular song. But yeah, as a musician, of course, like one of the most beautiful things is to inspire people in a good way and give them like something good. Doesn't matter what it is, but if it's like a good emotion or if it motivates people to like follow their goals, and that's it. And then everything follows. But if you make that as a musician, like to some people,
Save the life.
and yeah, and you even save the life, this is like the most beautiful thing.
You know, John, I have a very personal story about this, because when I read this email from, I can't remember his name, but I definitely remember the story. It really did something that nothing ever, when I make music, nothing ever achieved that. Like, for example, it's a very intimate fact that my father committed suicide. He shot himself. And I would have loved someone to show me a song. Do you know what I mean?
Wow. I had no idea that email must have been. I don't. Well, a life's gone, and the life was saved, and you're right in the middle of that. That is something. Well, that song has even more meaning to me now. I think this is a good time to watch it.
Let's watch it.
I knew they'd come to me. Life does not stop. The show must go on, whether you want or not. Rise up to the moon. Rise up to the moon. Oh, but I'm okay. Yeah, but I'm okay. Oh, but I'm okay. Yeah, but I'm okay. I'm finding my way. Yeah, I'm finding my way. Oh, but I'm okay. Yeah, but I'm okay. 'Cause day by day I realize I was never coming back. Where do I go? Where do I run? If I'm running from you. Rise
All right, we're here with Lea Porcelain. They are over in Berlin. I'm in our studios here in Seattle, which I hope to see you fellas at one day. It'll be just, we know things are better if you guys are sitting here hanging
First
out
thing.
with us. And bring the rosé, which is, it's never
I was
disorderly.
like actually scared to,
It's
to
already
drink in public.
It's 7:30. It's okay.
Just one glass.
Should we wrap it back around?
There was only one session I had where alcohol suddenly appeared because, morning show, and it was John Spencer. And it was just tall boys and just
But he was in
worst because he handed it to.
America.
We were in New York, so it was a little better time. But man,
Not
when John
really.
Spencer hands you a giant beer, you're like, yeah, all right, this sounds like a terrible idea. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
There's another song I want to talk about. Really, we're playing all your songs today, but there's a new one as well called Ohio that, man, I think is just one of the better songs I've heard this year too. It's just got, again, when you bring out that emotion, and I'm trying to think of a song where you don't, but when you bring that emotion out, that Ohio song really captures a feeling. Can you tell me about the song a little bit?
I mean, yeah, we did it at one of the last ones for the album, and we just had a session with a writer, and it was kind of frustrating. And then we just sit down, the two of us, and made it like we ever did it before, always did before. And I was just like doing an instrumental on my synths. I had a drum beat recorded, and we just had these like layers of synths, and there was like already a very strong feeling. And then, as it happens a lot of time, Marcus was just like looking in his textbooks, and
I actually stole that lyric.
and then the magic came out. Yeah, but it was just like this normal, natural,
Yeah.
magical moment in the studio where this like instrumental is hammering out of the monitors, and Marcus just like instantly knows what's over, and then we kind of chop it together, and then there it is. It was like half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you do like other recordings,
It was
layers and stuff, but like, the song was written in like 10 minutes. I think.
Yeah, it was more like 4 hours, but it was a lot of rosé involved. It was a little bit similar to the track from our debut album called Bones. Bones was also half lyric taken from someone else. It was an African writer, unknown to the state, and I loved it. And I restructured the poem and I put stuff around it. Same with Ohio. The writer there was a New York writer, female, Lucy Brock-Brodo. And she just has this Ohio poem that's a super dystopian, apocalyptic, two people wanting to see each other. If the world goes down, you want to see the person you love the most. And that's kind of what this poem was about. And then I restructured it a little bit, and it really came together in like 20 minutes, but obviously recording and some sound checking and everything. But
Well, I mean, the essence
of the song was literally, 20 minutes. And that's magic. And we just captured it. And I don't know if we re-recorded stuff, but
No.
hardly, because sometimes you capture and then it was there. It's like a painting, you splash it. And it's that splash, it's no other splash.
And it's also, if I can add one thing, when the video came together with the song, it was just like even more feeling and vibe for me. Because it's like an amazing 3D artist who also works for our friend Apparat, who you also had in the show, and Moderat. And he's doing like really great 3D stuff. And it was just like listening to the song. We had like one phone call, and he was giving me this concept after like 2 days. And we just added like, actually Marcus added the idea to have like some persons.
It was the
there.
shortest briefing we ever had. He was like, I want to do something with flowers, 3D animation.
And you fly through, and it just like he finished it in like 1 month, and it was like, oh, okay.
That must have blown you away to see that. It's great.
Yeah.
Like, I would be so proud of what that song motivated someone like that to do. Does that make sense? Like, to see
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. When even doing the show, like when people respond and it does something where they are an artist, or they paint, or they send us something they did, because the way we were mixing music, I'm always blown away how people take art and then make art. It's when you say you're taking these poems and reworking them, and some of my favorite writing.
transcending an idea. Like I said last time, David Bowie and Iggy Pop, they had this William S. Burroughs method to take a poem, cut it into pieces, put it back together. It's, I think, how Lust for Life was written.
I mean,
Here
that's
comes
always...
Johnny in again. That's a Burroughs poem. And this stuff is interesting.
Yeah. But that's music. Like
you don't
every
steal.
song you take like
try to steal a song. Like really, like I'm going to steal this one. I'm going to make a song out of it. It's going to be completely different. So where's the stealing from my part?
Well, I keep all the words and all the chords are out there. They're all there.
Yeah.
They're all, that's what always blows me. Do you ever hear a song and go, how did this not exist before? That's always when I mean, I Am Okay is a good example of that. Like, I don't really know a world before this song. How was it not out there in the universe? And then I start thinking about the origins of the universe and it just goes downhill. It's not.
There's songs like this. You hear them and you're like, but this is a cover, right? I had this once with Nelly Furtado, I'm Like a Bird, and I was like, that's a cover, right? Because I think it's an original song. I do
that all the time when I'm playing music on the show. I'm Googling something like, no.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, how does that, it didn't exist like a year ago? It had to, right? It was always there.
But it's also like for us, this special kind of question. If we make a song and we show it to people, the best feedback is like, it sounds like it's been existed before. Yeah. And it happens a lot with our music.
Timelessness in there. Think.
Well, we're talking to Lea Porcelain. They're based in Berlin. They're, as I've put before we go, I want to put you on the spot. Last I talked to you all, I talked about this. But if KEXP can ever get over to Berlin, we want to do a remote from Funkhaus. Everything I hear, and what you're seeing in the video, is a studio there at Funkhaus as well. So we're, already putting our team together here to start, begging the right people to
I mean, totally,
get us over there.
Yeah, as I told you before, like I had this concept in mind and I also spoke to you, producer, about it. And we definitely if there's a space here in Europe, I would say it's going to be first Berlin and second Funkhaus. Yeah. And we are very close with all the people here. So whenever
there's just so much,
do something.
There's just so much space if you think about it.
I imagine there would be such a diversity of artists to be able to perform too. It's just there's so much going on over there. It's so central, and there's so much different kinds of music, as you've even mentioned, being made. That really attracts us too. When we can be somewhere that we can also discover bands outside of Berlin who happen to be there when there's touring. That happens a lot as well.
I think it's the center of Europe when it comes to art and music, together with London, of course. But
we get more space here. It's more space, and there's a higher extract of artistry in Funkhaus, because everyone who's here, it doesn't matter if you make pop or techno, it doesn't really matter. Everyone is here for the reason that we talked about before, to get up in the morning and say, I want to do music or art. There's lots of painters here. And in a way, this is the spot. If you're in Berlin, you come to Funkhaus because there's good food. There's nice people, and there's a lot of space, and we're waiting for you, by the way.
Hey, when you come to Seattle, we're not shy. You come to KEXP. That's
No, I got you live on Mars first, I think.
I can't wait to
have a pint. Yeah.
I can't wait to see you guys over here, and I'm really excited for the world to get to hear and see this record and all the stuff you're doing with it. And I wish you fellas, continued luck and success out there in a post-pandemic world, especially. And your music's, it's changing lives, so never forget that. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.